All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is the 213th convening of the Broadband Hui. And we want to thank everybody for joining us and being on this journey in support of broadband and digital equity. We'll take care of some quick introductions, and then we'll get into our agenda. My name is Bert Lum. I'm the State Digital Equity Coordinator here in the Hawaii Broadband Digital Equity Office. And I will hand it over to our friends over on the Big Island and have them introduce themselves. Shola?
All right, I'm making sure everybody is muted. Muted, yes. All right, I am Shola Kahiapo-Trevino, and I am the Digital Equity Specialist for the County of Hawaii in the Department of Research and Development. Mahalo nui loa for always having me on every week, and I will pass it over to Riley.
Aloha, Riley Saito, Research and Development, County of Hawaii, Energy Specialist, and but advancing digital equity efforts across the island. Aloha.
Well, you know, I relish your enthusiasm, Riley. So we will then now kind of like have some new people introductions. And before I forget, you know, please go ahead and drop your information in the chat. You know, the name and your affiliation. That way, if people are interested in chatting with you, that would be great. And the other thing is that we are being rebroadcast by all the community access television, and thanks to them, which includes Naleo, Akaku, Olelo, and Ho'ike, and that is I'll be posting a schedule for that as I, get the schedule kind of firmed up. Just so FYI, and we do enjoy video. So if you are willing to turn your video on, that's great. And if you are asking us or telling us an update, that would be great to have your video on. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call some folks just to kind of do some quick introductions. I do want to give David Miyashiro a chance to say hi to everybody. He's a regular, but has been working on some other stuff in the meantime, but is back, and I welcome his return.
Aloha, Bert. Good to see everybody. David Sun Miyashiro. I'm the Executive Director of Hawaii Kids Can. I focus mostly on education policy, so we're very active with the Hui when all students were doing distance learning, and as things have come back online, I've had to shift my time and capacity, but it's good to be here again and see what's going on. I'll put in the chat, one of the programs we're running this year is something called Hawaii Tutoring Plus. It's a way to deliver high quality tutoring virtually, as well as digital equity and digital literacy skills to families. So good to see everybody.
Great to have you back, David. Okay, and let's see. I'll give Karen a chance to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Karen Keesing. I am with the Hawaii State Public Library System, based out of the office of the state librarian here on Merchant Street. And I'm responsible for helping to implement telehealth across the state library system. And we have currently hired 6 telehealth navigators across the state. We need couple on Kauai and Lanai. So if you know of anybody, let me know. Thank you. It's wonderful meeting you all.
Thanks, Karen. And we welcome your addition to the Broadband Hui. There's so much stuff that's going to go on, in the libraries with respect to digital equity programs. And, I'm glad you're on because Stacy's so busy. I just, I'm thankful for the time that she does get to spend with us, but it's good to have some others like yourself, Karen. So, and be prepared. We're gonna, we probably will end up calling on you for stuff, updates. Okay, let's see who else can I call? Most of the folks are looking like regulars here. Sola, do you recognize anybody or not recognize anybody?
Everybody's be regulars here now. Great job.
What about oh, I want to say hi to Amy Peruso.
They are unable to
Rep. Amy
unmute,
Peruso.
just letting you know. Unable to
Oh,
unmute
okay,
and
okay.
unable to put their video on.
Okay, thanks. And Danny Ng, you want to do a quick intro? I know you've been on before, but why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro?
Sure. My name's Danny Ng, and I'm with Aloha Wireless, and we focus primarily on helping individuals originally get the ACP program, and now that that's ended, we're continue to help individuals that need phone and internet through the Lifeline program. So we're obviously interested in seeing the progress of or I guess not the progress, but to see where ACP will end up if it's going to get funded again and so forth. And we're also looking at a couple other things about, and I'll throw this out, and I don't know if anybody's looked at this, but potentially looking at some sort of Starlink setups for some of these areas as kind of a test program. So that's something we're doing some research and digging on, how viable that would be. So anyways, glad to be here.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, so do you folks does Aloha Wireless get involved with any kind of, sort of custom wireless systems enabling, let's say, a community to establish a community broadband network, or, you do point-to-point sort of wireless systems, or do you do just residential?
It's just residential. It's phones and was tablets. So primarily phones right now. But we were looking around and thinking, because we go out to a lot of the shelters out there, right? And if we were able to figure out some way, if it becomes viable, to like put a Starlink hub out there, there's a lot of things there's a lot of challenges, right? How would you power it? How would you secure it? And those sorts of things. Those are some of the basic things. But we think that there's potential viable solution out there, at least in the short term, as B continues through that process. Okay,
well, we'll chat offline, and then get a for me at least, a better understanding of the areas that you might be able to kind of help out with.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with that, let's see. That's about all the new folks I can spot. About Sola, I'll hand it back to you. You can do the mana'o of the day.
Great. I am still on an avatar kick, everybody. So you will be hearing a nice quote from Avatar: Last Airbender, the cartoon, not the live action. So this is from the ending of book 2, which was the ending of the Earth book. So this quote is from Uncle Iroh again. This quote is, "Sometimes life is like this tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you keep moving, you will come to a better place." That is the
That
mana'o of the
sounds
day.
good.
Thank you.
They're always good. They're always refreshing. And I like the fact that, we kind of start off with some soothing music, and we have the introductions and mana'o of the day. And it's always a great way to kick off the Broadband Hui. Okay, so with that, let's get into our agenda. And I have on tap Karen and Dan to give us an update on what's going on with HB 2359.
Good morning. Yes. Some of you may have seen in the news on Friday, the Governor Green released his intended veto list. There are 17 bills on that list, and included in that list was HB 2359. So before I dive into that, I want to explain the bill itself for those of you who may not be familiar with what happened with the bill and what its intention to as drafted was originally intended to do. So HB 2359 was actually a bill in the governor's package, and as it was drafted and introduced, it was intended to set up a digital equity grant program, and basically put structure so that the funding coming into the HBDEO could be dispersed through grants. And then as it went through, of course, with the legislative process, it was introduced and heard. It did go all the way through, obviously. And through that process initially, I think it was the CPC on the House, that committee, there was a amendment that was actually made to the bill out of that committee. And in that amendment, that there was language that was added that actually eliminated broadband infrastructure from being a qualified project. And included in that definition, as it's defined in 206R in the statutes, wireless community networks were also in that bucket. So as it went through, there were some concerns from several Broadband Hui members that were brought forward. And so the testimony was submitted for that. And it did go through that process. But unfortunately, as it went out of conference, that language still was intact. And what that means, in a very simplistic sense, is that if there were any projects for a wireless community network or community network of any type under broadband infrastructure, that it would not be covered by digital equity funding, which is problematic in some senses too, because that type of network could also not be funded under BEAD funding, right? So, looking at it in the big picture, once you put something into a law, it's a lot harder to navigate that forward. And so we did discuss it as a Hui, and like I said, we had put that through. Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center, who actually, full disclosure, is one of my members of the Kapolei Chamber of Commerce, they decided to submit a veto request to the governor. And so as they did that, they submitted that request saying, look, we have this full intention. And some of this, just to add to it, there were different concerns with the wireless community networks. And one of them specifically for our area, some of it has to do with the emergency preparedness piece. So in the Hawaii, the state digital equity plan, there is, I think it's item number 5, talks about emergency preparedness, and it's looking at, I think we're just talking about Starlink was mentioned, looking at different alternative networks and ways that we can address, especially in the wake of the Maui tragedies. And the Waianae Coast is definitely looking at all of those things. So as a big concern, they submitted the request, and then Dan and I pulled together the Hui, those who had also, again, like I said, in that conference committee, we had submitted the request to bring the language back to the original bill, and that was what was asked. So we put out to those who had supported that request and asked them to opt in on the veto request. We had, I think, 16 who agreed to sign on to that letter. It was very clear in the veto letter that it was representative of those 16 of the Hui that opted in. And so at that point, I started talking to the Lieutenant Governor's office, and the Governor's office through that process, and they, through the bill review, the governor decided to add it in. So what does that mean? That means that, of course, the bill, because it's on the veto list, once it hits the deadline, it will be in fact vetoed. And then this next legislative session, the digital equity grant program will have to go through the same process. So I'm going to stop right there because that was a lot of explanation, and maybe see if there's any questions or if I didn't explain something clearly.
No, sounds good to me. Chung, do you want to add anything from an HBDO standpoint?
Yeah, thanks, Bart. And thank you, Karen, and all of the folks that have been supportive of the bill and helped with the testimonies and the discussions throughout the legislative process. Yeah, it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but it was a learning opportunity for us. And I think going forward, it'll give us the ability to introduce a stronger bill in the future and address all of the various needs that we saw pop up this past legislative session. So no, and I look forward to continue having the discussion, and I think it is needed. And so yeah, we look forward to introducing a better measure in the future. So thank you, Karen and Bert.
Yeah, and of course, I think, thanks to the Hui for doing all the work that the Hui has done, providing testimony. I think going into the 2025 session and perhaps even before, there will be some efforts to do some education. And I know Kieran has some strategies for that. So I think it's good to have some of the legislators better understand, what is it that is important about this bill, and what, what exactly is digital equity. So I think that's a good strategy going forward into 2025. Hey, Dan.
Yes, good morning. I missed some of the things due to a phone call, but and a note to Representative Amy Peruso is in the Hui today, so that's great. So she can help us next time in the next go around. I think that despite I do totally support the idea that it's vetoed, but I also think that Bert and Chung, you can go ahead and start working on the on the regulations and rules to pass out the money. And I would note in passing that NTIA celebrated this morning the first capacity grant going to the state of Nevada for their digital equity program. So thank you.
Dan, just to clarify, we are working on the rules, and I also have Kennedy on the call. So we are doing that in the background. But keep in mind, the Digital Equity Grant Program did not have any money in it, so it wouldn't be through that program. But I do recognize that there's capacity grant funds through our capacity grant application that we will be talking about in the very, very near future as we start to see some of the states get their awards. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the Hui call. Any other questions for Kieran? You got?
Oh no, I just want to acknowledge Rep. Peruso. Thank you. I did not mention when I was giving my narrative about the actual veto date, which is July 10th. So I just want to add that into no, thank you for being here, Rep. Peruso, and thank you for your support. And we'll definitely be glad to have a conversation about how we can improve next year. So mahalo.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Now, next up, I was going to have Brad Bennett do a quick intro to his program. He's out today, so we'll have him on next week. And I did want to touch on the Broadband Hui group calendar, which I think was a good prompting last week by several people. Ken, you're one of them. CC was another one. Keani and a number of people expressed interest in providing some of the information about events coming up. So what I did was I kind of took it upon myself to create, let's see if I can show this. I'll share my screen here. Okay, so can people see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Basically, this is a Google Calendar, and I have invited all the people that I just mentioned, including our county broadband digital equity counterparts. You know, Constancio's on this, Jolie is on this, Nate and Shola, and thank you to Crystal and Susan Hirai for putting the bead trainings on this as well. This is going to be kind of an important resource, because as we start to see more activity taking place, I would highly recommend that, you know, this is a place to go to find out what is going on during that, you know, given week. So again, if you are involved with any class schedules, announcements for events, anything that you'd like to get out to the broader Hui, this is a site that you can easily get to, you know, the calendar of events, and the URL is in your agenda. It's pretty easy. It's broadband.hawaii.gov/calendar, and as you can see, it is on the main page in this banner menu that you can easily access. So that's a place where, you know, if you want to find out what's going on, you can check it out. I also have a QR code, since we all love QR codes. And if you want to share this with anybody, you can take the QR code and it'll get you right to the calendar. And if you want to put it on any of your, you know, collateral, feel free to do that. The other place that you could also find it is, I also placed it in the Broadband Hui page, where anybody, you know, who might be new to the Broadband Hui, who you might introduce to want to join the Hui. This is a place where you can find out information about, you know, the Hui, kind of a little bit of history as to where it came from, contacts like Shola and I to join the Hui, and then I have the calendar here as well. Okay, so this is a resource, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of it. And the value, again, of the calendar is going to be largely due to all of you who are, you know, kind of leaders of networks, including your event on this. That way we have a central repository for all these activities that are going on. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you all. And if you want to get access to the calendar and you don't currently have access, please let me know. I can easily give you access, and then you can update the calendar. David, you got some stuff coming up, right? I don't know if I can certainly, you know, add you to the calendar, so you could add any of the Hawaii Kids Can activities, and same thing with, you know, the Hawaii literacy folks. So feel free to contact me either through this chat, or you can email me, and I'll get you hooked up. And if you need any instructions on how to add the calendar to your you know, to your Google Calendar, I can give you that too. So any questions? I think I again encourage all of you, and thank you for the folks last week to help push this along, and for all of you contributing to it on a going forward basis. Yeah, I did do a Bitly. I know a lot of people in the state have trouble with Bitly. Maybe I'll add another link with the full calendar URL. But again, this is easy way to access this is the broadband.hawaii.gov/calendar. All righty, any questions? Okay, seeing none, I would like to give our friends over at the university a chance to give us an update. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. You guys have been on a kind of a whirlwind tour, and I think there's a bunch of stuff happening in this week and coming weeks. So, Sarah, you want to give us an update?
Howdy. Morning, folks. Thanks, Bert, for the time. The main announcement, yes, we've been out in the community the last 3 weeks. We've had over a dozen events. Gotten to know Dan real well. Thanks for showing up everywhere, Dan. I want to say that as part of our outreach, we are realizing that the portal, it's tough. And so kind of out of an abundance of caution and wanting to make sure that everybody is totally comfortable with the technology and also, getting the word out even more. We are pushing back the start date of the official challenge process from what was going to be July 15th to August 19th. And we're going to hold to that one. We were thinking about this for a while, but we didn't want to tell you very, very early because then people wouldn't pay attention, But anyway, so that gives us more time to play on the test site, to do some more outreach. In fact, this coming Thursday, we have a virtual session. And then for the next couple of weeks, we will again be going back to Maui. I don't think we plan to go back to Big Island. We did go already last week there. So just want to let you know again. I do have a quick picture for what it will look like. So the challenge phase again will be from the August 19th. It'll run 30 days. The rebuttal phase presumably would also, start just about 30 calendar days from that. And then the adjudication phase from that. And we'll have more updates about the individual submission features and other things that might be available just a week or 2 weeks before the actual challenge process starts for folks to play with.
So Sarah, you folks were also talking about doing a portal, maybe overview for the Broadband Hui, for I guess particularly the individual portal version.
Yeah, the one that allows like members of the public to put things in. When that one is fully ready to go, we will give you guys a preview of that. It's still in development. We're still changing around some of the wording to make the most sense for Hawaii.
And for those that are curious about, the folks that are primarily adding to the main portal are going to be nonprofits
Yes.
and counties, right? And so the individual one, Sarah, where does that go? That kind of goes to the counties, right?
Okay, so actually, before I forget, let me drop into the chat. This is our broadband, hawaii.edu/broadband. This page is exclusively about the challenge process, and encourage everybody to check it out because that is where we've been dropping most of the updates. We really would like to encourage, and we have had some nonprofits already register, but if you haven't yet, please do check out this cute little QR code here or go to this, register.challenge.connect.co and have your EIN ready and let us know that you want to be an active participant in the process. How this relates to what Bert was just asking is that when we do turn on the public submission or individual submission functionality, it'll go into a waiting room where then a nonprofit or a government entity will be able to approve it or submit it on the individual's behalf as an official challenge. Because otherwise, the challenge process technically is only nonprofits, government entities, and ISPs. But we realize that some people may not have a relationship with a nonprofit or a government entity and might prefer to just upload their information directly. And so we worked with our vendor to have this public submission / individual submission tool available.
No, that's great. And so, Sharon, just out of curiosity, is this individual submission something unique to Hawaii, or did other states request this as well?
I think it was used in 2 other states, New York and Nevada, maybe. So there has been some, but it is a relatively new thing. It was not mentioned as part of, the official challenge process outlined by NTIA per se, but it is a way to engage wider audiences. And, on this, just what I'm sharing on this page, we were just trying to make clear, that there are a lot of ways for people to participate. You can participate as an eligible entity, register, or you can also just, participate as a member of the public helping to gather information.
No, that's a great point. And, any kind of mechanism that makes it a little bit easier for individuals to respond, I think is a good thing. And Dan, you ought to be, putting on your walking shoes so that you can go to all the kupuna in Pro City and find out if they got, good internet.
Well, I think UH says there's 12 people in Pearl City without internet.
Well, you better go find them then.
We can send you back to Hauula and you guys can have a powwow there. But anyway, yeah, I mean, compared to other states, we are trying to just be super inclusive and, make sure all the bugs are gone and make sure that there are multiple ways to participate. It's an added feature. We don't have to do the whole public submission thing, but after just after seeing that, there's a lot of interest from the Hui, not everybody is a nonprofit on their own. And people want to know how to participate. So that's why we're just trying to make as many avenues available, but we are still working through the bugs. So please give us some time. But as soon as it is available and like all the labeling and everything is correct on our side, we will give you guys there will not only be a video on how to use it, like, step by step, but also we're happy to give you a walkthrough as you request.
And Sarah, there's a question from Kainoa in the chat. Kainoa, in the chat, it says, does the Homestead Beneficiary Associations need to be a nonprofit?
Yeah. Okay, so Micah replied, Homestead Beneficiary Associations are eligible participants to submit challenges.
Okay, good.
So,
and
if you want to register as a nonprofit, though, you do have to have a nonprofit ID. But if you're on Homelands and you're filing a challenge related to your property, there will be a little box that you can check that, to self-identify as Homelands, and that will help us to flag for our DHHL partners that you've submitted something.
Okay, right on. And Sarah, last thing, at least for me, can you share with everybody the fact that in a census group, all that needs to be talent, or all that needs to be done is 6, locations in that census group will then kind of like require the ISPs to take a look at everybody in that census group.
You want me to do that next week? Then I can do a whole 2 or 3 slides about it and make it more visual.
Okay.
But I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one.
Maybe just explain it and you can visualize it next week, but just
Okay.
explain it
Right. Okay, so basically, a census block group is a bunch of census blocks put together, and there will be a feature on the portal map that allows you to turn it on. And so you'll see this yellow outline of census block groups. And if you can find at least 6 challenges against a single provider, so they have to be all 6, saying that, Spectrum or saying that Hawaiian Tel, you have to pick one of the providers, is not reporting accurately how they provide their service. If you can find at least 6 that are inaccurate, have the evidence for it, and move it on to the rebuttal stage, then that compels or it triggers what's called an area challenge, where then the service provider is compelled to check every dot in the census block group. So it's sort of a good tool for challengers who don't have a ton of time, but want to do sort of the biggest bang for your buck time-wise. So find 6 that the color of the dot is wrong or the representation of the information is wrong, gather the evidence, submit those all against one challenger, all against one ISP. And then if those are approved, then the ISP has to go and check every one of the dots that it serves in that census block group. And other states have used this as a way to help to identify and flip other dots from served to under or unserved. It did work like in Louisiana, I think.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, and it's sort of a force multiplier. You know, you may not have the resources on the front end to go check everybody, but if you have enough resources to at least identify 6, I think that triggers a whole nother effort, you know, to do an area challenge. So
aim for 8 just in case, but yes.
Yeah. And Sarah, yeah, if you want to do a visual next week, that's great, because I think repeated education around this topic is super important.
Sure. And again, we have a training on Thursday where we'll go over some of this as well. But yeah, check out, go to, again, hawaii.edu/broadband challenge process for our calendar of all the different trainings. Here's the most updated one. Okay.
Great. And that helps me lead into the next one, which is today, Constancio, what you got going on today?
We will be in Palama settlement. So, and that would be our last outreach event for fiscal year 2024. But now that it has been moved to the start date for the challenge process, has been moved to August 19th, we're looking forward to conducting more trainings and workshops specifically for the community on how to use and navigate the portal, because I think that's the missing component right now. We need to expose those who can challenge and those who have the opportunity to use the portal to actually use the portal. Because right now we're just showing them what it looks like, you know, and kind of like the user interface, but they really need to experience it. And we've been working with UH, and hopefully we'll be able to deliver those workshops and trainings. I think another question that I have, Sarah, I posted on the chat, and Micah just shared it. I wanted to know how many registrants we have so far. It looks like we have 15 local government and nonprofits, so that's great. And I don't know what our target is, but I think the more nonprofits and local government agencies that could participate, that would be great. We'll do our best to promote and disseminate information as well. Yeah, thank you.
Great, Constancio, and thanks for all of your great effort to you know, help get the word out, because again, this is really grassroots. We're not doing any kind of like mass media about this, and it's probably a little too confusing for for mass media, but you know, this is definitely something that this audience is can well understand. And I think it's through your word of mouth and through your contributing to any kind of network that, you know, that could host a convening, you know, on the neighbor islands or here on Oahu. That's really super helpful. And Constancio, I guess we were going to try to do one for Waimanalo, but that one is going to be moving out.
Yeah, I was just gonna thank you. So we unfortunately we had to cancel our scheduled Waimanalo event yesterday because we didn't have any registrations, and I also contacted our point of contact at the Waimanalo Health Center, and there were no RSVP. So we're really looking for a nonprofit, a community anchored institution on that side of the island, because we really want to make sure that that side of the island is served and is part of this whole challenge process, right? So if you are on the east side, particularly Waimanalo area, and would like to coordinate with us, we'd be happy to work with you, and also really want to capitalize on the strength of our network of the Hui to promote the information and share the message so that more people would be educated and trained and will be able to participate in this endeavor that we're all trying to accomplish. So appreciate it.
Yeah, and I heard something this past week that kind of help articulate what's happening is that I think everybody on the Broadband Hui recognize the fact that there's a need there's a need for all of this, whether it's broadband access or digital equity programs. What we got to do is help to really create the demand, so that, you know, realizing that there is a demand, people will want to find out how can they satisfy, you know, that demand. So they may know that there's a need, but, you know, we got to kind of help take it to the next level and get people to start realizing, you know, and can try to drive the demand for, you know, these classes that are being offered, whether it's the BEAD challenge process or even the digital literacy classes that are going to start rolling out with the libraries. It's one thing to have a class, but if you don't have anybody in the class, then, you know, it's kind of a wasted effort. So again, it's creating we already recognize the demand. We got to just drive drive the demand. We recognize the need. We got to drive the demand. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bert,
other...
sorry, one more
Yeah.
thing. I tried to raise
Yep.
my hand, but I can't find the raise hand anymore. Weird.
Oh no.
Recognize hand gestures. It allows me to do like a heart or something. Let's see, does this work still? No. Just kidding.
You can always send me a heart.
Only for you, Bert. We are still looking for applicants to fill part-time digital navigator positions that, you know, are intended to help out the counties throughout this entire BEAD process, challenge included. So those are available on the RCUH website. Please, if you know applicants, send them there. Tell them to look for the word digital navigator.
Yes, and you know, there are a lot of interest in digital navigators, and I think I heard Karen, you might have mentioned navigators in the libraries. You know, this is another program to help supplement that, and UH is spearheading that effort. Okay, very good. Any other counties want to give us an update on any classes coming up? Nate, I think Nate, you're gonna try to benefit from the individual submissions, yeah?
Yep, we're just working to spread the word and hold a bunch of meetings like everyone else, doing trainings and have people submit their their starting individual documents, and then we'll submit them for them. So working on it.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good, Nate. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda, I did want to share this announcement that just got made today, in fact, this morning. And, you know, maybe Shola can help me out with sharing the, you know, the importance of this. And this has to do with, and let me share my screen here. Okay, so what happened this morning was it was an official announcement by the NTIA that Nevada got their Digital Equity Capacity Grant Award approved. So that's the first state to officially get their capacity grant approval. And what that does is it triggers the 30-day window for the NTIA to now come out with the Digital Equity Competitive Grant. Okay, competitive grant. And this one pager is available on the agenda for you to download. And this is basically for all the eligible entities who are interested in continuing to further the work that they're doing in this digital equity space to apply directly to the NTIA. Okay, so what this one pager is here to do is give you some pointers to get set up, like setting up your accounts on sam.gov and making sure that you have the appropriate numbers to make you recognizable in the system, to get organized you know, and that's what we've been doing, right? We've been talking about getting your, whatever your proposals or your projects might entail, to get that organized and build partnerships. And what we're doing here in the Hui is offering you the environment upon which you can network and find out, who's kind of doing what and how you might think about furthering your project through partnerships. So anyway, this is just a one pager, just to kind of get the thinking aligned to prepare for the coming release of the NOFO, which is the Notice of Funding Opportunity. And that's what's coming in 30 days. So I wanted to share that with you all. And again, I'll stop sharing and I'll ask Shola maybe to kind of chime in here a little bit. Maybe Riley, if you want to jump in. I know that there was a webinar series or a workshop series on getting people prepped for the competitive grant. So you guys want to provide any insight on that?
No. I think that's still a discussion that we would have to have internally to figure out what we would want to do at the end of the day.
Well, it's not so much what you want to specifically do, but what do you have in mind in terms of looking at this as another additional funding source?
It would be under consideration. And Shola and I and some of our grant writing team did go through an additional training that was offered by USDN on pretty much competitive grant in the digital equity space. And so that's always has been under consideration from the start. And that's why the story map and all the data gathering and how to really represent a true profile of Hawaii County's community, because it is vastly worlds apart from Honolulu's community in wealth, in access, in poverty, in Alice communities. And so our gap and separation is much, much different. And so we need to, if you blend us in on a state level, that gets totally diluted. Like the median income.
Well, I think to that,
I just looked at it today. The median income for the state household income is $92,000. On the Big Island is $60,000. So that's kind of gap I'm talking about. The Maui, Kauai, Honolulu, your household incomes are 40% more than what households are making on the Big Island. So competitive grant wise, yeah, we have to have that framework to go after that money.
Right, and Riley, I think those are really important points to bring up when applying for the competitive grant, because again, this is not going to be a state effort. We're not, HBDO is not aggregating proposals for the competitive grant. It'll be really boiling down to individual communities that will then start looking at, this competitive grant opportunity, and how you decide to form any partnerships need to be, will reflect, the need of that community. So I empathize with, with the different or the gaps, and that's what you need to bring out, because when they start to review all of this, that's what they're going to be. That's what they're going to be comparing it against. It's not comparing it against others in the state of Hawaii. It's going to be compared against others across the country.
Yeah, I think the median household income for the country is like 74,000. So we're below that. But I'll give you 30 seconds of an analysis of the geospatial thing on the Big Island. And there's more energy related, but I'll just say this to give you some idea. People on the Big Island on the southeast side work in Kohala, which is on the northeast side. So for you on Oahu, it's like leaving Waipahu in your car, driving to Waikiki, getting on a bus, riding that bus through Waimanalo, to Kahuku, to Haleiwa, back down, Lelehua, Wahewa, Mililani, going back to Waipahu, getting off the bus, working 8 hours, sometimes double shift 2 hours, getting back on the bus, going back, Wahewa, Haleiwa, Kahuku, Haula, Kaneohe, Kailua, Waimanalo, back to Waikiki, and then drive home. That's what people do every day. 39% of our population travel more than 50 miles one way to get to work. So if you can visualize doing that every day to get to work on Oahu, then you're part of the Big Island population.
Got it. No, appreciate it. And that's a good perspective to kind of keep in mind as more of these funding sources become available. And really kind of what we're trying to do here in the Hui is make sure that people realize that there's multiple funding sources, but you gotta be cognizant of how to best position your project. And Riley, I think you got a good handle on that.
Well, that's the equity part.
Right. So anyway, so keep that in mind. This is quickly coming up. Again, within the next 30 days, you'll start to see the NOFO be made available. And again, we're, HBDO is not directly involved, but if there's anything that we can help do to increase your chances of, getting some recognition in the competitive grant, we'll certainly help out in whatever way we can. Okay. In the next few minutes, I just want to share something with regarding the Digital Equity Innovation Awards. The deadline is coming up. We set the deadline for nominations for awardees as July 12th. So that's going to be within the next couple of weeks. And I did see the Lieutenant Governor's social media post about it. So I'll just quickly share that, just to let you guys know that it is on people's radars. Glad to see that it's something that the Lieutenant Governor is interested in following, and so we want to encourage a sort of rich nomination field, and we will continue to proceed to the next phase, which is selection and the awards, which will take place in October. So people can see this is Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke's Instagram, and this came out a couple weeks ago, but I think it's important to recognize. And in fact, she mentions the Broadband Hui in partnership with Picture, our fiscal sponsor, and of course DBED is championing this. And if you click on the next one, kind of goes into some of the 5 award categories. Okay, so again, thank you to the LG for recognizing this and helping to spread the word. And I wanted to reemphasize that we're moving on the timeline, and any interest in helping out, just get in touch with me. But we're going to be doing simulcast on the community access television, so that's going to happen, and we're coordinating all the activities in the background to make sure that it's a fun and statewide event coming up in October. So wanted to share that. And again, make sure that you check out the nomination form and put in your nominations. Okay, Anything, any last minute, let's see, where's my agenda? I think that was it. I did put a article from Ben 10 about the future of affordable broadband. You can go ahead and check that out and read it at your own leisure. Shola, I guess we should put up the final screen. And we'll let everybody know that the next Broadband Hui is coming up on the 3rd, and it'll be me and Ryan taking a little bit of vacation. So let's see. Does Shola, this is where's the contact info on this one?
Sorry, I had the wrong one up.
All righty, there it is. Okay. Mahalo, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the 213th Broadband Hui. We'll be back next week, July 3rd, and I'll give it to Shola to kind of close us out.
Alrighty, Riley and Bert will see you guys next week at the 214th convening of the Broadband Hui. I will be on a nice vacation with my family, and we will see you guys later. Stay safe and stay awesome. Mahalo nui, everyone.
Mahalo. Thanks, Shola. Thanks, Riley. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.